Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan and Amy, what is he waiting for, Beto?
What do you mean?
Robert Francis Frost. What's he waiting for? Get all of your supporters together, all those enthusiastic millennials, and would you take down those barriers in El Paso already?
Oh, my God. Yesterday he was campaigning in New Hampshire, full-fledged, waving his arms, landing a 777, and said that there's no crisis on the border, Dan. That's why we should take down all the walls.
We do not need any walls. $30 billion, 2,000 miles long, 30 feet high. It will not be built on the international boundary line, which is the center line of the Rio Grande River. That wall will be built well into the interior, on someone's ranch, someone else's farm, someone else's home. You and I will be forced to take their property to solve a problem that we do not have.
How do you solve a problem like Beto? Look,
he's hyperventilating too.
Gosh!
Yeah, look, have some tater tots. Calm down. I'll tell you what.
Just take a little time to yourself.
Let's get John Hickenlooper and his mom, Beto, go off for a show and just relax.
A nice movie. Maybe one that's rated R this time instead of rated X.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by Mark Morgan, former FBI special agent and also the Customs and Border Protection Chief for President Barack Obama. Mark, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
You bet, Dan.
So you heard what Beto O'Rourke had to say. He's a member of Congress. There is no crisis at the border. We can take down these barriers. We certainly don't need any more. And, will you just stop it already?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at that, I think this is why we can't have a rational, professional discussion about this issue, because you have individuals like that just refuse, based on his political ideology, just refuses to address and really acknowledge the facts. If you look at if you really closely listen to his statement, so what he says in there, partly what he says in there, that he's concerned that we could take some land because to build a barrier. Now, he's not worried about the fact that an illegal alien just a week and a half ago took the life of Bandy Larson, right? So he was here illegally, 9 ICE detainers, and the last breath she took, the last thing that she saw was an illegal alien standing over her, stabbing her to death, taking her life. He's not concerned about that. He won't acknowledge that, but he's worried about taking land. It's just absurd. And we could go, Dan, and we could go on and on again. Just fact after fact after fact. They just ignore it. This year alone, we're anticipating between 800,000 to 1 million illegal aliens coming to this country this year, and he says it's not a crisis. It's unbelievable.
And the decision this week by the Trump administration essentially to reverse policy because of ICE being overwhelmed at the border with respect to their facilities and where they can house people, going from catch and detain to catch and release and hope they come back for their deportation proceeding or asylum hearing.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So it's even worse, though, and I hope that the listeners are getting this. So catch and release has been happening already, right? So ever since judicial activism like Flores and just the broken asylum laws, unaccompanied minors and family units, remember, Border Patrol apprehends them, they turn them over to ICE, and then ICE has been releasing them. So kids automatically get released because of judicial activism. Other broken asylum laws and inadequate bed space have led to just family units already being released by ICE. So that catch and release has been happening for a while. Now, because the system is so overwhelmed, it's Border Patrol that's releasing them now. They're not. ICE isn't even picking them up because ICE is overwhelmed and they're overrun, and Border Patrol's stations are overwhelmed and overrun. So now you have Border Patrol releasing them right away into the interior United States, as well as ICE.
And on that point of Border Patrol, just anecdotes out this week, but it speaks to this how serious this problem is that you're describing. Customs and Border Patrol stopping 2 convicted child molesters trying to get back into this country in Arizona. So if we're doing catch and release with Border Patrol, then you're talking about, despite what politicians say, oh, let's get rid of the people in this country illegally who are convicted violent criminals. Now you're saying we're going to, catch and release pedophiles?
Well, and so this is another key point that you bring up. You're spot on. So that's happening every single day, and it's been happening because, look, when you have orders that say, hey, you can't detain kids, we don't want to separate families, right? So what does that mean? So that means grab a kid, exploit that, right? So we have a lot of people that are fake parents, fake guardians to grab a kid, right? So they know that once they get here, they're going to be allowed into the interior United States. Here's the issue. We have no idea who those individuals are. There's no way in a day or so they're coming here. They have no papers, no documents whatsoever. We have no idea who they are because of our laws, because of judicial activism. Within hours, we're allowing them into the United States. We have no idea who they are. And here's another quick point. So Yuma, Arizona, the chief patrol agent was just on TV the other day. He says his folks are overwhelmed in Yuma, Arizona. So he's probably devoting about 50% of his agents to the humanitarian issue, to the asylum seekers, to what I call daycare provider. Think about what that does to that particular area of the border at the time. His agents are pulled away from border enforcement to the humanitarian mission. The border's wide open. The cartels are exploiting that. So the other issue, not only allowing these people in that we don't know who they are with family and unaccompanied minors, but then it leaves the border even more unsecure. Wide open cartels are coming through. We don't know what the heck is coming through. It's absolutely a crisis.
So you have this catch and release, and then how many people actually show up for their court date?
Yeah, exactly. So it's even worse than that, Amy, because what you have is you initially come in, they claim credible fear, and that's a joke, right? We all know that's a joke. You say the magic words, you get in. Then you're supposed to follow up and file the formal asylum claim. So actually, there's about 40% of the original credible fear. They don't even file a claim. And then those that file, the majority of those don't even show up. And then the ones that do, the majority of those, it gets denied. So it's a complete, just horrible system that is abused. We know, so not only allowing these people in the United States, but we do so knowing that, one, they're not even going to file a claim, and two, the majority of people do file a claim, it's denied. They know they're abusing the system. We still let them in. It's a complete joke.
Well, and then there's this other aspect, too, that out this week. Immigration Reform Law Institute, through FOIA, obtaining information that there are 645,000 illegal immigrants in this country who've already been served their final deportation orders. That's just from the top 4 countries of origin: El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. 645,000. The cases have been adjudicated. They've received final deportation orders, and they're still here. So maybe Beto's right. Why do we even have a system? You don't get cases adjudicated on the front end, and even the cases that are adjudicated, there's actually no consequences associated with them because nobody can execute the final deportation order to return them to their country of origin.
Dan, you just summed it up. That's exactly right. That is the issue. And you guys have talked about this before. I know you had Tom Holman on here, a great patriot. I know him well. And what he said was great. And again, former director of ICE is, look, I understand ICE is overwhelmed too, and priorities are violent criminal aliens, got that. But I think I agree with Tom when he says if they just took, a couple of months and they really focused heavily on that aspect, people who had come here illegally, they filed a false claim, they had received due process, right, and still said, nope, your claim is false, order removal, and they're still violating the law. If we focus on those individuals, we would absolutely take a huge dent in that incentive for them to come, because what you said, they know. You come, you set one foot in soil, basically you're here untouched. You basically have de facto amnesty because we're not enforcing our laws at all. That's something that needs to happen absolutely on the interior of the United States. But I tell you as well, real quick, what the president's doing in San Diego, we need to do along all 2,000 miles. And that being is somebody comes in and files a claim, whether it's at the port or in between the port, we need to return them to Mexico and have them wait in Mexico while their asylum claim is being adjudicated and being heard. We should not allow them into the interior United States.
And some of them are bringing drugs. I mean, in between the Windsor and Detroit, they caught, fentanyl that could have killed 85,000 people. So what's going on the northern border?
Yeah, so the northern border is an issue as well. So, I know we're focused on the southern border, and we should be. We have to prioritize. We have limited resources and et cetera. But let's not forget the northern border. It's wide open as well. The northern border really is completely wide open. I mean, there's no man-made physical barriers there. Border Patrol definitely needs more resources up on the northern border as well. And so as we're doing and we're having this dialogue about our borders, we shouldn't take our eye off the northern border. There's a real threat up there as well. And unfortunately, I think because what's happened in the southern border, that really occupies most of the dialogue. But the northern border is still an issue.
Speaking of incentives, how did you receive Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's proposal this week to provide persons in this country illegally with Social Security benefits?
Yeah, see, one day we're talking about giving them driver's license. Then the next day we're talking about giving them voting rights. And then now we're talking about giving them Social Security. So let's just dissect that. I mean, not only do we have the incentives, right, that you talk about, both once they get set foot in the soil and then once they get here, they can stay. Now we're actually giving them more rights as a citizen. We're treating them as an American citizen. So basically what that's happening is we're giving them amnesty without Congress actually having to get involved. So it's absolutely absurd, and Congress is not doing their job. They're going to allow states to give illegal aliens more rights, which is de facto amnesty, while Congress can sit back and they don't have to do their job. I hope the American people are listening to this.
They are. He is Mark Morgan, former FBI special agent and the head of the Customs and Border Protection Agency under President Obama. Mark Morgan, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560.